Well, hi, I'm Lorelei, and welcome back to Shivers and Roses, a space where we read and enjoy all literature dark and macabre. Tonight, we are going to take a dive into an incredibly dark and provocative poem titled Danse Macabre. With its dark and unsettling themes, and the life of the author behind it, Charles Baudelaire. So come along with me and let's dive back into the shadows and discover the uncomfortably strange world of Danse Macabre. Let's begin.
Proud, like one living of her noble height, with handkerchief and gloves, her great bouquet. She has the graceful nonchalance that might befit a gaunt coquette with lavish ways. At any ball does one see waist so slim? In all their regal amplitude, her clothes unfurl, down to a dry foot pinched within, a pom-pom shoe as lovely as a rose. The frill that plays along her clavicles as a lewd streamlet rubs its stony shores, modestly shields from jeering ridicule, enticements her revealing gown obscures. Her eyes made of the void are deep and black. Her skull coiffured in flowers down her neck, sways slackly on the column of her back, O charm of nothingness so madly decked. You will be called by some caricature, who do not know lovers obsessed with flesh, the grandeur of the human armature. You please me, skeleton, above the rest. Do you display your grimace to upset our festival of life? Some ancient fire does it ignite your living carcass yet, and push you to the Sabbath of desire? Can you dismiss the night-air mocking you, with candle glow and songs of violins? And will you try what floods of lust can do to cool the hell that brands the heart within? Ethereal well of folly and of fault, alembic of the old and constant griefs. I notice how along the latticed vault of ribs the all-consuming serpent creeps. Truly your coquetry will not evoke any award that does not do it wrong. Who of these mortal hearts can grasp the joke? The charms of horror only suit the strong. Full of atrocious thoughts, your eye's abyss breathes vertigo. No dancer could begin without a bitter nausea to kiss 2 rows of teeth locked in a steady grin. But who has not embraced a skeleton? Who has not fed himself on carrion meat? What matter clothes or how you put them on? The priggish dandy shows his self-deceit. Noseless hetera, captivating queen, tell all those hypocrites what you know best. Proud darlings through your powder, and you preen, O perfumed skeletons, you reek of death. Favorites faded withered in the mob, Antinous and many a Lovelace. The ceaseless swirling of the dance macabre sweeps you along to some unheard of place. From steamy Ganges to the freezing Seine, the troop of mortal leaps and swoons, and does not see the angel's trumpet aimed at them, down through the ceiling, that black blunderbuss. In every climate death admires you, in your contortions, O humanity, and perfuming herself as you would do, into your madness blends her irony.
Danse Macabre is a poem that explores the darker sides of humanity that we as readers are afraid of. Death, decay, and the deeply macabre. It is beautifully written, and the imagery Baudelaire creates is chilling and thought-provoking. This poem is worth the read. The poem's author, Charles Baudelaire, was not afraid of exploring these themes, as many of his works feature them quite often. And a book of poems he had written became famous for being provocative and controversial, and we'll be getting into that later. Charles Baudelaire was born April 9, 1821 in Paris, France, to François Baudelaire and his wife Caroline. François was a senior civil servant as well as an amateur artist. Young Charles was just 6 years old when his father died in 1827. Charles's mother Caroline later met and married Lieutenant Colonel Jacques Opic, who later went on to become a respected general and Charles's stepfather. They lived well and Charles grew up well. Charles started studying law at Lycée Le Grand in Paris. Charles was rebellious. His instructors viewed him with promise, but also as a troublemaker, as he was disruptive and had frequent absences and was ultimately expelled. Charles enrolled at Collège Saint-Louis, where he passed his baccalaureate, although Baudelaire decided that law wasn't his calling, and dove into the literary scene in the Latin Quarter, where he met and mingled and made connections with various authors and started his career. Most of his influences were Edgar Allan Poe, Gustave Flaubert, and Victor Hugo, among others. Baudelaire started attracting much attention when he started publishing his writing. He published an art review in 1845 as his first work, which was very successful. Baudelaire followed that in 1846 with his second art review, and in turn set himself as an advocate of Romanticism. It was in 1857 that Baudelaire published his first collection of poems titled Les Fleurs du Mal, The Flowers of Evil. This collection became infamous and found a small audience of people who enjoyed it. However, the book caused a scandal in the public at the time, with its recurring themes of sex and death, lost innocence, alcohol, and depression, to name a few. Eventually, 6 of the poems were suppressed, including Danse Macabre. Ultimately, Baudelaire, his publisher, and the printer of the book were prosecuted for creating an offense against public morality. Many known authors such as Victor Hugo and Gustave Flaubert stood with the controversial author and condemned the decision. Baudelaire and Les Fleurs du Mal helped to establish an appreciation for new literary art forms and shed light on once controversial topics. Today, both are highly regarded. In the years that preceded, Charles worked on a number of works, including a translation of Thomas de Quincey's Confessions of an English Opium Eater, and critical studies of Théophile Gautier, Balzac, and Flaubert. He also created a collection of poems called Petits Poèmes en prose, small prose poems. By 1859, Baudelaire suffered from chronic illnesses due to stress and excessive use of opium-derived laudanum. Toward the end of his life, he lived with his mother, but his many accumulating debts and financial difficulties caused him to leave in 1864 for Belgium. His hopes were to make enough money to pay for his debts. Unfortunately, that would be halted in 1866 as Baudelaire suffered a massive stroke and spent his final months in Brussels. Charles Baudelaire passed away in Paris on August 31, 1867. Baudelaire is a key figure in European literature in the 19th century and remains influential to this day. He challenged society and its norms of the time and made an indelible mark on what is now realized as modern art. Baudelaire romanticized these dark themes and cemented his place in the literary world. Charles Baudelaire's life was just as fascinating and dark as his poetry. He is a respected and beloved author whose dark romanticism captivated readers and critics alike. Danse Macabre is a poem that allows us to explore our own thoughts with these themes and connect our shadows and bring them into a light in a beautiful way. My friends, thank you for taking the time to explore the shadows with me. I hope if you enjoyed this video. If you did, it would mean the world to me if you could give this video a like and leave a comment down below. If you had a suggestion on another piece of literature you would like me to read, I'll try my best to make that request happen. I hope I've earned your subscription as well. Another evening and another chapter of our adventure has come to an end. Thank you so much for joining me, and until the next chapter, don't be afraid of the shadows.